Thank you, Dan. Wow, I think Hui's talk about the air conditioning really hits home, huh? It's a very cold room. And first of all, thank you everyone for being here. And when this Singapore Dreaming project started, I think last year by Willie, there was a sort of a leg on sustainability as well. Right? And coming from the perspective of an architect as, doing buildings and doing green buildings, right? How do we deal with sustainability, and how does the powers that be, how does the government actually frame sustainability for us to operate within? So this presentation, Going Green in Singapore, Have We Become Too Technocratic? It operates in a frame where we have established that air conditioning is already the norm. All right, and a lot of what we'll go through is actually a critique on this assumption. So, where is the building industry today? All right, for a lot of discussions about architecture now, it's pretty much centric to going green, move towards green trends, buildability, constructability, productivity, universal design, design for everyone, and also total building performance, where in a situation where we already have air-conditioned buildings, right, the government is trying to push for maximum efficiency, maximum technology, and so on and so forth. But is that the right dream? Is that actually pushing towards the right agenda for sustainable buildings? Because the very act of building itself is unsustainable. For the green movement, the local authorities, the Building Construction Authority, first came up with a Green Building Master Plan in 2005, less than 10 years ago. The second master plan was in 2009, and they've just launched the third building master plan, meaning to say it's become more and more challenging to operate within, to do buildings in Singapore, all right, as the codes have become more and more stringent. And their aim is for at least 80% of buildings in Singapore to be completely green, all right, meaning to say to achieve Green Mark Platinum rating by 2030. So what is really said in the industry today? In a group of, a meeting between architects, engineers, developers, and so on, this is what you might hear as an architect every single day. So the developer might go, look, let's go for Green Mark Platinum so we can sell more units, right? Because Green Mark Platinum is actually like a branding, for the building. Energy saving, okay, if you're an engineer, let's go, you can do a glass facade, but push for the best possible air conditioning. Again, in a world which Hui has already painted for us. Right? We don't go, look, design your facade to become more, naturally ventilated and so on, but you want your glass facade, that's fine. We'll specify the best chillers for you. Okay, you want it green? Let's do some solar cells on the roof. Everyone will think it's green. It's, marketable. Oh, and if precast concrete is more efficient, nah, that's okay. We'll go by our contractor's expertise. He's good in this, so let us stick with that. Green Mark? Sure, we'll pump in more technology. It's framed as such. So the more technology we pump in, we'll clear Green Mark, and your building gets built. So, how are we really greening Singapore buildings? Is it greening for the sake of greening, or is it really an act of sustaining the environment? Is it an act of sustainability? Well, Green Mark, of course. Right? That seems to be the common answer among building professionals. So for Green Mark, it's a system that was set up, to allow buildings to be rated as certified Gold, Gold Plus, and Platinum. The best rating, of course, being Platinum. And these are examples of some Green Mark Platinum buildings, and I'll leave it to you to judge whether or not they can consider, or you would consider these as green buildings. Full glass facades, right? Fully air-conditioned, completely enclosed, no ventilation, right? Will be hugely uncomfortable if not for the fact that there is air conditioning. And if you look at a building like that, from your initial impression, you would never ever think this would be considered a green or a sustainable building. This one too. Green Mark Platinum. And this is a building that they call the zero energy building. Again, an oxymoron, right? There's no building that's zero energy. But look, it's a fully enclosed building, all right? And to dress it up with, solar cells, your roof becomes like this. Internally, you've got these things that control the amount of sun that comes in. So on the one hand, if you're sitting in a cubicle below, if the sun, is up in the sky, you get a very bright desk. and the cloud passes over and all of a sudden it gets dark. And it's controlled by these kinds of openings as well. And again, within these enclosures, they can be very, very hot because the less energy you use, the less air conditioning gets pumped in, all right? And then it gets very warm and uncomfortable in a building like that. But yet it's zero energy and it's Green Mark Platinum awarded. Are these buildings really green? Well, let's look at how they score. So there's a scoring system that BC has come up with for Platinum, Gold Plus, Gold, and Certified, right? And every building at the minimum has to be certified, right? And more, most government buildings have to be Green Mark Platinum. And I won't bore you with the technicalities, but it's based on a few major criteria: energy efficiency, water, environmental protection, indoor quality, and other green features. But you would find that there's quite a big weightage on the technology aspects. So it imagines already that the building will be air-conditioned, all right? And that in order to score, you would have to design for the most sophisticated systems. However, restoration, conservation, or relocation of existing trees, preserving the environment, rates only 1 point. So out of the 90 over points that you would get for Green Mark Platinum, if you were to preserve your trees, you would get only 1 out of the 90 points. In contrast, right? In contrast, well, also, if you were to encourage proper environmental practice for the users of the building, meaning encouraging them to use, sustainable modes of transport, not to waste water, not to, use waste so much and so on, not to throw away waste so much, also only 1 point out of the 90 odd that you need to achieve for Platinum. However, if you pump in all the technology, pump in pneumatic waste collection, all these things, sophisticated concrete, dual chutes, self-cleaning facade systems, and so on, right? There's a very heavy weightage for points. So natural tendency for any designer, for any architect or engineer, is to really just pump in all the technology you can find on the market, all the catalogs, all the brochures, in order to score your 90 over points to get Green Mark Platinum. And then the building gets marketed as Green Mark Platinum and as a sustainable building. So where have we gone wrong? Again, sustainable products, sustainable building products. You can get up to 8 points, as opposed to the 1 point for preserving the environment. Top 10 green building products. Again, an oxymoron. Green building products. Again, chillers. If you use the best possible air conditioning chillers, the most efficient air conditioning chillers, you would score quite heavily on the points as well. But why? 3 things. The codes are written from a research perspective. So an academic researcher would feed, the government departments with the newest, the latest. Research, by definition, looks into the new, looks into the better, right? Therefore, new things come up. People have to pump in more technology and more new ideas, more things all the time without stepping back and going, look, is the very sort of practice of designing a glass building, is it even a sustainable act? Economy generation. Specify more products, buy more products, create more opportunities for the economy to roll, right? And then build, which leads, of course, to, incremental increment as you go from engineering to architecture to urban design and to master planning an entire city. So the economy rolls. And with that, job creation, employ locally. Before 2005, which was before Green Mark came about, there was no such thing as a Green Mark officer. No one would, if you told someone you're a Green Mark officer, no one would know what it is you do. There's no such thing as a Green Mark assessor, who are the officers that come around and assess your buildings during the design stage and during the completion stage, whether or not your building is green. There's no such thing as a Green Mark manager. There's no such thing as a Green Mark facilities manager, Green Mark professional, Green Mark facilities professional. And the sustainability consultant was not the most popular person on the block. Why? Because you didn't actually have to meet all these Green Mark ratings. All right? So you put all 3 together: job creation, generation of economy, and what's the third one? Basically, buying, specifying all these things, right? And of course, the research-driven practice of green building codes. All right, this is where the problem lies. And at this rate, it won't be long before our buildings end up looking like this. Wind turbines, very fancy, very technological, already happening in Dubai, China, right? And this will never work in Singapore, by the way, because the wind speeds here are too low. Buildings like these, which are completely exercises in pumping technology into a building. The entire building is filled with solar cells, PV cells. Or something like this, which looks something like this. So Singapore dreaming, by 2050, are we going down this lane? Where every building becomes, so green and so, green in inverted commas, so performing in terms of energy efficiency that you get a monotonous, uniform sort of landscape. Well, hopefully not. And as we continue to dream, hopefully, and as we design our environments, right, hopefully we can critically assess some of these criteria. And indeed, BCA is moving away from too much emphasis on technology. So the weightage of the points is starting to go more into the passive design aspects as well. Passive design meaning, just orienting a building right, not facing the sun, all right? Giving efficient access, allowing natural ventilation to happen, right? And that, personally, is my dream for greening the Singapore landscape and Singapore buildings, right? With that, thank you very much.